So what is the HITECH Act? We call it many different things. We call it ARRA, we call it stimulus, we call it many different things. It really boils down to two pieces. One, that you are using a certified EHR, and two, that you are doing so in a meaningful way. And those are the two critical pieces of qualifying under the stimulus plan and being ARRA certified. So we're going to delve into those specifically. So as you know, this, as I said, this first was kicked off in 2009 in January when Obama first came into office. And it's been a long time coming before we had the final rules. The final rules, for the most part, were given to us in July. So a year and a half later, we get the final rules. You can imagine that all of us have been sitting there waiting to figure out what those are. The vendor side has been waiting as well, because we would get hints through the proposed rulemaking, but we never had the final rules. So trying to make sure that you have a product that's going to meet all the specific criteria that each of you need to meet has been very difficult, and we've been waiting as well on the vendor side. So in July, we had the final rules that had been announced, and there's two pieces to that. One is the final rule for meaningful use that you will be very interested in and how you get your payment, but also very shortly after that, the final rule on how a vendor becomes certified. So those were two critical pieces that were just enacted in July of this year. We're going to talk specifics about this. This slide is a generalization for you, but what I think the key point of this is that when we got the final rule, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. In the proposed rule, the criteria that you would have had to meet was pretty high bar in the proposed rule. And all of us thought that's where we were going to land. But in the final rule, they relaxed the criteria greatly. So in many, many categories, you know, there were some things that you had all or nothing. And there were many, many criteria that you would have had to have met. They've reduced the number of criteria. They've allowed you some menu choices of criteria. You'll see that also, and oftentimes there would be a range that you would have had to have met 80% of the criteria, and now they've dropped it to maybe 30% or 40%. So what actually happened in the last year and a half is your voice and the vendor's voice was very well heard. So what everyone said is, this is too high a bar for us to get to right off the bat. We need some time to embrace, to get on an EMR, to really have it effective in our practices and be able to capture the data to be able to qualify. So the great news is the criteria is a much easier bar to meet.